The Detroit Lions now have to make a move with Aidan Hutchinson being out for the year. We've had two defensive ends already go out for the season, and we have one defensive tackle probably going out for the season is Kyle Pecco. Nobody's talking about that. I thought, has been very nice throughout the season. He had a pec injury during the game, immediately was ruled out. Probably means he's out for the year. So we have three defensive linemen already this season who are out with a season-ending injury, most likely. Now, I have 8 targets here that Brad Holmes could potentially get. I have one honorable mention. I have 8 targets and then one honorable mention. 6 of them are trades, and 3 of them are free agents. So we're going to be going over the players that I think the Lions could target, and I'm going to be giving you my proposed trade on them and my thoughts. So starting off here, we're starting off with the obvious one. You see him on the thumbnail, Trey Hendrickson. Hendrickson is 29 years old. All right, Trey Hendrickson. Let's look at his stats here. Former third-round pick. He has played with Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn. They were on the coaching staff at the time in New Orleans with him, and he has also played with Alex Anzalone. So you have the relation there. Former third-round pick. Now, he is the best defensive end on this list right now. I'm telling you that right now. So if you're looking for a guy like Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, they're not going to be on this list. It's too unrealistic. I love Max Crosby on the team. Myles Garrett's just stupid. There's no way we'd get Myles Garrett. I don't think he fits the culture, and he costs like 3 first-round picks. There's just this stupidest thing I've ever seen. And then Max Crosby at least is a little bit better, but like he's still going to cost probably at least 2 first-round picks. I just don't see Brad Holmes doing it. So, Trey Hendrickson, he's realistic. Let's take a look at his stats here. Trey Hendrickson. This year already, he has 5 career sacks. Through the year before that, he had 17 and a half. In his career, he has 64 and a half and 12 forced fumbles. Exactly what we need. Exactly what I need. Now, my trade proposal that I would give for the Bengals, got to bring out the notebook here. The proposed trade for the Bengals, I'm giving them our 2025 third round pick, or excuse me, I'm giving the Bengals a 2025 first round pick, and I'm giving them both of our 2025 seventh round picks and James Houston. The Lions get Trey Hendrickson, a 2025 fifth, and a 2025 third. So we lost our third round pick. We do not have a third round pick this year, and we had 2 fourth round picks. Now we only have 1 because we traded the DeAndre Swift pick back to Philadelphia. So with this, you're getting your third round pick back, and you're also getting a 5th round pick. So you would have a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 2 5th round picks, just no first. So I think this trade is very fair. You're getting rid of James Houston, even though I think he has a very good chance to stay on the team now. And I think that's a very fair trade. This is the only trade that in this video that I would give up a first round pick for. And I'm at the point where I think you can give up first round picks because we have been so successful in the draft, and we're looking very good next year for the draft for the free agency. As we don't have very many big free agents right now next year. We have a lot of free agents, a lot of good depth pieces, but not anybody that's going to cost a significant value. The only 2 off my top of my head right now that are going to cost a lot of money for us right now next year is Carlton Davis and Aleem McNeil. And the Lions said they're still working on an extension right now with Aleem McNeil. So those are only 2 guys that potentially are going to cost a lot of money next year for us. Everybody else is going to cost not too much. Derek Barnes won't cost a whole lot now because he's most likely out for the season. Davenport won't cost a lot. Zeitler, because of his age, won't cost. So we have a lot of guys who won't cost a lot of money that are good people or good players that won't cost a lot of money that we can bring back. But those are only 2 that will cost a lot of money that we have to bring back. So that's the first trade. Now the second trade that I would potentially make, second target that I would do. Now this one has been up a lot too recently. It is none other than Harold Landry. Harold Landry, 28 years old, former 2nd round pick. He has 4 sacks this season. 10.5 last season, 45.5 career sacks, 3 forced fumbles. He's another one that we could very, very well need. I prefer Trey Hendrickson, but Harold Landry I'd 100% take. One of the most underrated edge rushers, pass rushers in the league, in my opinion. Always liked him, always wanted him to be a Detroit Lion. Just never really spoke about it because I didn't think it was going to happen, but I think there's a very good chance it could happen now. Harold Landry, my proposed trade is the Lions get Harold Landry and a 2025 fourth round pick. The Titans get a 2025 second and James Houston. So we don't have a second round pick then with this trade, but we get another fourth round pick and we get Harold Landry, but we lose James Houston. This one I could see the Titans declining, but I think if they decline, just throw in like a sixth round pick from this year. But I think this could get accepted, and I think that's a very fair trade. James Houston value is probably around a 6th, 7th round pick. I don't think he could even get a 6th. I think he'd be able to get a 7th for him, but that's about it. So James Houston's value is 7th round pick, so 2025 second and a 7th round pick is essentially what you're trading away. What you're trading away, and then you're getting a 4th and Harold Landry in return, which I think is a very fair trade. Now my third guy that I think we could possibly trade for, nobody has mentioned this guy at all yet. Now, he is from the Rams, and that is Michael Hoyt. Yes, nobody's talking about this guy. Very, very, very underrated player. He's 27 years old, former UDFA. He has 1 sack this season. He's only been in the league. This is his 4th year. All right. He has 11.5 career sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He is starting for the Rams. The Rams need players right now. They need players. They're in a very bad situation. They're going to still be without Nakua for a couple weeks. Probably Cooper Kupp and Higbee as well. So they don't have that much talent right now. Their season's pretty much over already. So my proposed trade for Michael Hoyt, he's not, a guy who's immediately going to become our number 1, but he's a guy who can definitely be our number 2 for us and who will help the pass rush. He can also play Sam, I'm pretty sure, as well, as that's part of the role he does in Los Angeles. So my proposed trade for Michael Hoyt is the got a bad cough going on. My proposed trade for the Rams is the Rams get a 2025 5th round pick and James Houston. The Lions get Michael Hoyt. He's not going to be worth that much value. He's getting up there in age. This is the last year on his rookie deal. He's not going to cost a whole lot. I don't think he has that much value there where they have to keep him. So I think that's a very fair trade, and I'd be down to do that. He potentially even costs less than that. I think if you just did 2025 5th alone, I think it'd get accepted, but just throw in James Houston to make sure that trade goes through. That's why I did that. Now, the 4th. Oh, I skipped one. Alright. I'm like, I didn't think I did this guy. I did not. Now, my 4th trade that I proposed, this one has been coming up a lot as well recently, and it is none other than Jadeveon Clowney. Now, Jadeveon Clowney has 1 sack this season, signed with the Panthers this offseason. Former number 1 overall pick. Has 1 sack this season, had 9.5 last season. Has 53.5 career sacks and 15 forced fumbles throughout his career. And he's not going to cost a lot. He's 31 years old. He's not going to cost a lot. He signed like a 1-year, $8 million deal somewhere around there this offseason, I believe. My proposed trade is the Panthers get 2025 5th round pick and James Houston. The Lions get Jadeveon Clowney. Very fair trade. He's probably going to cost that value. Again, James Houston's worth about a 7th round pick, so you're essentially trading a 5th and a 7th round pick away for Jadeveon Clowney. I think that is a very, very, very fair trade. They're not going to be asking for much. He's old. They're carrying the money. They just signed Charles Harris and Shaq Lawson a couple weeks ago. And they got some young guys as well to develop. And they're just, overall, they're such in a bad position. They need draft capital to progress. And all their defensive linemen are old. They need to start getting rid of some of them to get some young guys in there. So I think this is a very fair trade. Now, I don't know about Jadeveon Clowney. He is a guy who's always either going to have a great season or he's going to have a terrible season. I mean, just look here. It's very inconsistent with him. You're going to get prime Jadeveon Clowney or you're going to get washed Jadeveon Clowney. See, look at this. 0 sacks, 4.5, 6, 9.5, 9. And then here you go with inconsistent. 3, 0, 9, 2, 9.5, and then 1 this season, which is not a lot. So, and right now, Jadeveon Clowney is the wash Jadeveon Clowney for this year. But he's still better than what we have, so I think that I would still do that trade. Now, the 5th trade that I would do is this one's also been coming up quite a bit lately. And I'm really intrigued in this one. He's not going to, he's not going to be an elite defensive end. He's not going to cost a lot. But he could very, very well be a good number 2 edge rusher. From the Patriots, Deatrich Wise. Former 4th round pick. Just turned 30 years old. Deatrich Wise has 2 sacks on the season. He's their backup defensive end. The year before this, he had 4.5. In his career, he has 31 sacks and 5 forced fumbles. He is not going to cost anything. They're still in rebuilding mode. I think they got a really good coach over there in Jared Mayo. I think they really have a good chance of doing something. And they got young quarterback Drake May, who I think is going to be a superstar in the league. But they need young guys. They need more young guys. They need to develop. They're still in the rebuild mode. He's not going to cost anything. All right? He's not going to. He would become our immediately number 1 edge rusher. That's how bad our edge rushers are right now. He'd immediately become our number 1. Well, with Deatrich Wise, he's not going to cost anything. He is a good number 3 edge rusher, but a solid number 2 edge rusher, and he is what we need, I think, to potentially add to this team along with somebody else. With these depth pieces as well, that won't cost a whole lot. I'm saying you need to add a guy through free agency or somebody else as well. Like with these guys, I'm not saying, oh yeah, they're going to replace the production of Hutchinson, even Davenport. They're not going to do that. But they're going to help the pass rush a little bit. It's going to be better than what we have. And I'm just saying add somebody else with them. Or make some moves. Move Levi to DE. Or sign Muhammad from the practice squad to the 53-man. Something like that, So with Deatrich Wise, my proposed trade is the Patriots get a 2025 6th and one of our 2025 7th round picks. The Lions get Deatrich Wise. It's very fair. We keep James Houston. I said they need younger talent over there. But in this trade, I'd like to keep James Houston. So I'm just going to trade away one of the 7th round picks and a 6th round pick. That's very fair. Again, he's not going to cost anything. You could probably honestly just get him for a 6th. I just decided to throw in the 7th just to make sure it went through. If it goes through. But I fully expect that to go through if we propose that. So that's honestly probably the most intriguing trade to me here. That could, I have a very good feeling it would go through if we proposed it. So that one's very intriguing to me. Now, my last proposed trade, nobody's been talking about this either. He had a very strong start to the season, been quiet down a little bit these past couple games, but still been pretty solid. And that is from the Cardinals. He's a linebacker, but he can pass rush the quarterback. And that is from the Cardinals, Dennis Gardeck. He is 30 years old, 3 sacks on the season, and a forced fumble. Last season, he had 6 sacks. In his career, he has 17 sacks and 3 forced fumbles. Now, this guy, unfortunately, will cost a little bit more, in my opinion, just because he's having a very good start to the year. But he still won't cost a whole lot. Now, this is not as intriguing to me because I want a full-time edge rusher. However, I would not be mad if this happened, and I think it could happen very well. I think he would fit the culture if he came here. The Cardinals get a 2025 5th-round pick and James Houston. The Lions get Dennis Gardeck. Pretty simple. He might even cost more than that, and if he costs more than that, I'm not doing the trade. That is the most I will give up for him. Maybe I'll throw in a 7th-round pick, but that's the most I would give for Dennis Gardeck. But those are the trades and guys through trades that I could potentially see coming to Detroit. I could, again, see Max Crosby. Max Crosby said if he would play for any other team, it would be the Detroit Lions. I just don't see it. He's going to cost way too much. And I've already said my thoughts on Myles Garrett. Now we have 2 free agents with 1 honorable mention free agent here. Now the free agency class for defensive ends and even defensive tackles is terrible right now. But these guys I think could help. And, you could just put them on the practice squad, develop them, or get him, on the playbook and stuff like that, then elevate him, and then there you go. And the first one, been a big fan of this guy. Always thought he's been underrated in free agency these past couple years. He's every year, for about the past 2 years, he's been a free agent and has been a free agent until around week 14, week 15 of the NFL season. And you could probably guess it off of your top of the head, and that is Melvin Ingram. Yes, Melvin Ingram. That's how bad the class is right now. Former first-round pick, all the way back in 2012. He is, I believe, 35 years old. 35 years old. And Melvin Ingram, very consistent, all right? Now, you're not going to be blown away by these stats. You're just not. Look at this. All right? 0, 1, 1, 6, 1.5. All right? Now, with Melvin Ingram, actually, I guess in 2022, he must have been on the Dolphins practice squad or something, because I swear he didn't get signed until late in the season that year. But Melvin Ingram, these stats are not going to blow you away, all right? But I still like him a lot. I really do. Last year, only played 3 games. However, did get a sack and a half. Very, very good when he was on the field. Getting a lot of pressures. Year before that, played every game. 6 sacks, forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, all right? Year before that, 9 games with Kansas City, 1. So, the guy has not played much. But he's not going to cost anything. I'm not saying you sign him to the 53-man roster. I'm saying with these free agents, you sign him to the practice squad, elevate him, see what you got. Or you could sign him with the 53-man roster, whatever. But I'm saying these are guys that have potential to do something on the team to help out the pass rush, that are not going to cost anything, that are still out there, and the only ones out there that you could get. So I've always been a Melvin Ingram fan. He's not going to cost anything. I'd definitely be fine with this. This video's getting long. I'm trying to hurry this up. And then, other free agent I'd sign, this is probably the best one available right now, and that is Justin Houston. All right. Now, former third-round pick. He is also 35 years old. He's a couple months older than Melvin Ingram. He had a half a sack last season, only played 7 games last season, had a half a sack. He ended up joining the Dolphins, I'm pretty sure, late in the season on the practice squad, but never got elevated. The year before that, had a breakout year again. 2022, played 14 games with the Ravens, so he missed 3 and still had 9.5 sacks and a forced fumble. So, this is very intriguing to me. He was on a terrible team last year with the Panthers, so I really don't know if that's because he was just on a terrible team or what. Obviously, the Ravens have always had a good pass rush. All the way back to 2022, they had a good pass rush to help out Justin Houston. So I think this is the best case scenario one. Put him on the practice squad again, see what he can do. He's not going to cost anything. I don't know if he fits the culture, but I don't know if he's going to cost anything. And he would help out the pass rush, I know that, all right? In terms of talent, he'd immediately be the number 1 edge rusher for us. So, yeah, Justin Houston's probably the best free agent edge rusher right now. I just never been a big fan of the guy, but, I definitely take him at this point. And then my honorable mention, former Detroit Lion, and also a free agent right now, former Detroit Lion. I'm assuming you've guessed it already. And that is Bruce Irvin. No, I'm just playing. It's Trey Flowers. Trey Flowers, alright? I was not going to put Bruce Irvin in this video. I've already made a video about him. And, I just don't want Bruce Irvin. Trey Flowers, former 4th-round pick, 30 years old. 31 years old, Trey Flowers, former 4th-round pick. He has not played since 2022. He only played 4 games in 2022, alright? Has 31.5 career sacks with 10 forced fumbles. Reason why he's on this list is because he is the only power edge rusher out of these guys. Melvin Ingram is more finesse. Justin Houston has a little bit of power to him, but also finesse. Trey Flowers is a full-on power guy. Alright, bull rush guy, which would be the Marcus Davenport replacement. Obviously not up there with Marcus Davenport's talents, but he can rush the passer. He can get a couple sacks for you. In 2022, he had 0 sacks. 2021, he was with us before getting released. Played 7 games, had 1.5 sacks and a forced fumble. He's not very good with us. It was a terrible signing, but At this point, again, he's an honorable mention. I'd bring him back on the practice squad, elevate him a couple times, see what he can do. If he can't do anything, release him. If he can, sign him to 53-man roster, be one of your edge rushers. So, leave your thoughts, comments down below. Who would you sign out of these guys? Who would you trade for these guys? Do you like the trade proposals? And do you have anybody else I missed in free agency or trades that you would want Brian Holmes to trade for? One pride, go Lions. Sorry about the long video.